Okay, welcome to my live, guys. My name is Winnie, and this is Winnie's Corner. I'm trying to go live now, really often, so I can give to the world what I have. My name is Winnie, and I talk about godly, healthy relationships here on Winnie's Corner. So I want to thank you for joining my live today. And today I want to talk about marriage. Anytime I am in a position to talk about marriage, it just fills my heart with so much joy. And the reason is because there is nothing as beautiful as having a godly, healthy relationship. There is nothing as rewarding as finding someone that can love you and you can love them unconditionally with the love of God. There is nothing as enjoyable. In fact, the quality of life that you're going to live is dependent on who you choose to marry. The quality of life that you're going to live is totally dependent on who you're going to marry, because you can be a very nice person, very easygoing, very friendly, very kind, and you choose to marry someone who is not nice. You choose to marry someone who is very unkind, very mean, very aggressive, very abusive, and that takes away the joy of your life. There is nothing as rewarding as finding someone who is who is in the same space as you, that has a good heart, that is gentle, that treats you with love, that treats you with respect, whether you are a man or a woman. There is nothing as rewarding as that. So, and most times we live in a society where marriage has been flagged. Marriage is under attack. I'm not going to say by the devil, of course not, but marriage is under attack. Like there are a lot of theories that has come into marriage that has taken away the purpose of marriage. And when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. When you don't know the purpose of something, you will abuse it. And the purpose of marriage has completely been taken out. That it's been abused, and we have young girls that are growing up that would say, I will never get married. I will never get married. And the reason why they are saying so is not because they don't love marriage. It's because of the experience that they have seen other people experience around them. It's because of what they saw their mother or father go through in their marriage, in their home, and they decided that I will never marry. Is it because marriage is not beautiful? No, it's because of the people. Marriage is not difficult, but people are difficult. Marriage is a beautiful thing when two beautiful people come together, but most times we can't do this on our own. And marriage is a social thing. Like it's a social thing. Like I know most Christians will get up and say, oh, marriage is Christian, like it's all about. God has made marriage. Every religion across the world, they have marriage. So marriage is bigger than Christianity. There is marriage in the Muslims talk about marriage, the Buddhists or whatever religion. Marriage was created for mankind. It's not tied to any specific religion. But this is one thing I'm going to say. You can have a happy marriage without God, but it is impossible to have a purposeful marriage without God, because in order for you to find your purpose, you need to find your purpose in Christ. I know if you're just getting here and you're a Christian, I'm sorry, but I talk about Christian marriages, and that is what I focus on. So I hope you're blessed. So, like I was saying, it is okay to have a godly. It's okay to have a happy marriage. People have happy marriage, because I know some Christians who say, it's only Christians that can have happy marriage because of God. That's not true. There are people who are not Christians who have amazing marriages. But there is a difference between having an amazing marriage and having a godly, purposeful marriage. There's a difference between just a happy marriage and a godly marriage. Those are two different experiences. And for us Christians, we don't just live for the now, we live for the afterlife. So your marriage is supposed to be a marriage that is filled with so much purpose that when you cross on the other side, your marriage will live on through your kids, will live on by the impact you made as a couple. The Bible says that one can chase 1,000, but two can chase 10,000. So marriage is an honorable thing. It's a beautiful thing, especially when it's done the right way, according to God's way. Like I was saying before, we live in a society where most singles don't want to hear anything that has to do with marriage. When we talk about marriage, they're like, marriage is a scam, men are scum, or whatever is going on. But we need to refocus. Listen, don't make your decision about marriage based on what is in the society, especially with the way social media is right now. If you don't guard your mind, you're going to make decisions based on other people's experiences. And when you do that, you're going to have the experience of those that you made your decision about. So we really need to be careful. Have your relationship with God. I'm going to say God is still choosing. Well, not say choosing, because I won't say God chooses for you, but I can say that he can still direct you to the right person. He is still in the business of doing that. If you want a godly marriage, God has to be involved. The godly idea of marriage is God, the man, and the woman. That is how it's supposed to be. We have God, the man, and the woman. The man submits under God, the woman submits under the man. It's a very, very how can I say? It's a very, very orderly way of doing things. The woman submits to the man not because she's lower than the man, but she submits to the man because it's order. Like two captains cannot be in the same boat. Submission is putting your strength on that mission. So you have to be careful who you're submitting to. And we keep saying this over and over and over again, but we live in a society where everything is about money. Women can have refocused themselves on money. Everything we talk about is money, 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 money. The extent to which marriages are breaking is just like a tips of an iceberg, because when the foundation of a thing is not solid, it's gonna break. Because when the foundation of your marriage is based on appearance alone, I'm not saying that appearance is not important, it's very important. But when the foundation of your marriage is based on appearance alone, then there is a big problem. And there is a big problem because appearance is temporal. Anything that is temporal is not going to last. But you have to base your marriage on something that is everlasting, on a foundation that is everlasting. And how do you know a foundation that is everlasting? How do you know that this foundation I'm basing my marriage on is everlasting? So that is the question we need to ask ourselves. So let me not go up and down. Let me just focus on what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about. I just want to answer a question that I was discussing with someone 2 days ago, and the person was asking me if it's really possible to have a good marriage in this society. What I'm going to say is that it's absolutely possible to not only have a good marriage, but to have a godly, healthy marriage. The thing is that one thing we fail to know is that the good marriages are not on social media. The good marriages are not on social media. So if you're basing your theory, or you're taking your evidence of good marriages on social media, you're failing. Because social media is a business. Because the reason why most people put their marriages on social media is because they want to make money. So they're going to make you see something that is not really there. So the good marriages are not on social media. So is it possible to have a fulfilling marriage? It depends completely on you. Having a good marriage, it is dependent on the people involved. It's dependent on you. Now, as a single person, whether a man or a woman, you are in a state where you have the ability to choose how you want your marriage to be. And you can start now by taking a look at yourself. I know you're expecting me to say that, oh, you have to look at this person, let him be like that. But the thing is that most of us focus most times on the other people. We don't focus on ourselves. We focus on who the other person is, what they are supposed to give to us, how they are going to be, and we forget ourselves. You forget that before you demand something, you have to be in a position to give. You cannot be demanding and you cannot give. And I know that we women this time, we've been schooled to know that we don't have anything to give. We just enter into marriage and the man gives us everything. He gives us a roof over our head. He gives us money. He pays for your bills. He does everything for you. And all you need to do is that you give yourself. But that's not true. That is completely not true. Like, you have to give as well. It is a give situation. It is a 100-100 situation. It is not a 50-50 situation. You give all of yourself and the other person gives all of himself. That's how it works. It cannot work on 50-50. And that's the reason why most marriages are failing now, because most people are not giving all. You're giving just a little bit. You're holding back. But then you're expecting the other person to give 100%. It's not going to work like that. We have a lot of selfishness going on in marriages. I can't give this, I can't give this, or I'm going to hold this back. You can't hold anything back. That's why the two become one. The two become one. You give all of you, he gives all of him, and you guys come together and it becomes one. That is the mystery behind marriage, that two people will come together and act as one. It's not easy because you guys come from different backgrounds. This person comes from different backgrounds, believes different things, sees different things in different ways, and the same thing for the other person. But the mystery of marriage is that both of you have to become one, inseparable. That's how marriage should function according to what God designed. Now, is it possible to have the kind of marriage? It is possible, and it starts with you, my dear sister or brother. It starts with you. It starts with you in the sense that you have to start now refining your character as a single person. You start now. There are certain things that there's certain way that you behave that that are not good. But at this time, you leave those things and you're focusing on the other person. Why is he behaving like that? Why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? I'm not saying that you're supposed to be perfect, but I'm saying that start by refining certain things that can cause you not to have a good marriage. If you know that you have anger issues, you have to start working on your anger issues right now as a single person. And then work on yourself. When you've worked on your anger issues, then you have the right, then you have all authority to stand and say, I'm not going to date someone that has anger issues, because you know that you have worked on yourself, and getting someone with anger issues puts you in a position where you're going to function in that same light, and therefore you're not going to have the results that you need. So this is what I'm saying. If you want to have a fulfilling marriage, my dear brother or sister, start with yourself. Scan yourself. Ask yourself, who am I? You are going to attract who you are. The reason why most women, I'm going to say women because we are emotional. The reason why we attract certain kind of men is because, to an extent, that's we possess some of those qualities. If you look at it very well, someone will say, "Oh, I'm a very nice person. I don't like any trouble, but I tend to attack only people who are abusive, who are this." The reason why you tend to attract people who are abusive is because you think because you define yourself as a nice person, but there is some a lack of self-control there. So you are too nice that you don't know how to stand up for yourself. So because of that, you attract people who are aggressive because they see you as the kind of person, I need someone I can control. So you come in too nice. You are saying, I'm too nice, I don't like trouble. No, that's not what is going to make you not to have a good marriage. Being too nice doesn't make you to have good marriage. So you have to be nice, at the same time you have to be firm. You have to nice, but know that there are times that you're not going to be nice. You need to put the two together. So the reason you might be attracting people that are not, that are always abusive towards you is because of who you are. You are too nice. You feel like being nice, saying yes all the time, agree with everything. It's going to make you find someone that is like you. No, it's not like that. So this is the thing. To have a good marriage is very possible, but it starts with you. You have to be confident in who you are. You need to know that you are so good, that you are so good that you're going to be such a good wife or such a good husband that you're not going to settle for anything. That is where it starts. Because some people feel like, I'm going to make a good wife, but but deep down inside them, they are suffering from self ability not to from low self-esteem. Their low self-esteem is so low that it makes them appear so humble. They feel like they are too humble, and when they meet, and that your humility attracts people who want to control, and that is the reason why you always end up with a certain type of men. So, and most times people will call women who are confident and bold as being proud and arrogant, but there's a difference. You know, you can be confident and bold and very subtle at the same time. You must not be confident and bold and come out really arrogant. You know, so that can be another issue, because there's also overconfidence. You are so too confident that you don't even know when to calm down and, you know, accept someone else's weaknesses. And people who are too confident, they feel like they are perfect. And people can be too perfect that they chase other people away, that they miss on a good person, because they want to check every box. You know, that's another thing. You want to check every box. Every box has to be ticked. But the question you should ask yourself is that can you tick every box for yourself? You know, take a piece of paper, write down all of your weaknesses and your flaws, and ask yourself, can I live with myself? That's a question to ask yourself as a single person. Can I live with myself? You know, some people, they don't even like themselves. Like, if they ask themselves, and sometimes they're like, oh my God, why am I behaving this way? You don't even like yourself, but you expect someone to come and love you. Love me the way I am. Love me the way I am. If you don't love me the way I am, that means you're not for me. My sister, don't be deceived. You know, love me the way I am comes in quotes. Love me the way I am comes with quotes. And you cannot force someone to love you the way you are. You can't be that kind of person that doesn't want to make any changes in their life, doesn't want to work on their bad attitude, doesn't want to work on their weaknesses, and you just expect someone to love you the way you are. No, just love me. Love me. If you can't love me well, that's the way I am. That's the way I am has killed a lot of marriages, because you can't do marriage with that is the way I am. You're entering marriage to give. You're entering marriage to knowing that I will unlearn. And the thing is that sometimes even the way you are before marriage, it's gonna change. Because let me tell you, when you get into marriage is a playing ground that God has given us to work out Christ in us. God will use your husband to refine your character. Your husband is there as a tool used by God to refine you into the image of who God has made you to be. God will use your husband to bring out patience from you. You're going to be so patient, to bring out forgiveness. You're going to be so forgiving, just as God has forgiven you. God will use your husband to bring out the fruits of the Spirit, to building up within you, that it becomes you. That is the purpose of marriage. The purpose, God will use marriage as a tool to refine you, to transform you into that image of Christ. So marriage is not something that you take for granted. It's not something that you joke with. It's not something that you play with. It's not something that you do for any other reason other than the purpose of God. And if we don't see it this way, it's gonna keep crashing, because we are looking at it the wrong way, because we don't know its purpose. Well, why do you want to get married? That's the question you should first of all ask yourself. Why do I want to get married? You know, the Bible says that marriage is for procreation. That's good. It is for procreation. There are different reasons why the Bible says we should get married. We should get married to procreate, so we can make the world, bring more children into the world, bring godly seed into the kingdom. So if you as a woman, as a Christian lady, you know that your purpose is to bring godly seed into the kingdom. How dare you go and choose someone who doesn't even believe in God? Your purpose, your purpose is to bring godly children. You see your children being raised up in the way of God. To see your children doing things in the way of God. And then you go ahead and then you marry someone who does not even believe in God, who does not even believe in salvation or anything. How do you think you're going to achieve that? There's going to be tension. There's gonna be tension, and your purpose will not be fulfilled. So do you see that the person you married can change everything for you, and even God can help you, because God does not suppress his desire on us. He does not suppress his desire. I want to thank everyone that is watching. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, yes. Thank you, Baby 101. Thank you, Zhang. Thank you, Leather and Ink. Thank you guys for watching. If you have something to say or a question to ask me, please leave it in the comment section. I can see all of your comments. So let me go back to what I was saying. I was saying that, you know, if as a single person you want to have a purposeful marriage, you have to find someone who is who has the same mentality as you when it comes to spiritual things, so that you guys can align spiritually, so you guys can do things together. It's so difficult to be with someone that you don't agree spiritually. Most people will be like, it doesn't matter, I can marry whoever from whatever religion, I'm fine. Yeah, you can do that and be happy, but yeah, I'm talking about a different kind of purpose for marriage, a purpose for marriage that is according to God's heart, a purpose for marriage that God desires for you. And if you want that, then you have to find someone that believes the same spiritual things as you. You cannot just marry anyone from any background spiritually and you expect them to adhere to the purpose that they have not cued into. So this is what I'm trying to say. If you want to have, like, the quality of marriage that you're going to have depends on you and the person you choose. You don't choose the family you come from. You don't choose your brothers and sisters. But the one opportunity that you have to choose is who to marry. And that defines the rest of your life. That defines the rest of your life. There are people who have been very successful, doing so well spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. But once they got married, they became nothing. There are thousands of men and women living in that state after marriage. You don't want to be part of that. And you can actually take your time to choose someone that's going to bring more joy into your life, instead of someone that's going to bring sadness and death into your life. One thing we don't know is that the Bible says that to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Peace is of God. Life is of God. You have to find someone that has the peace and life of God within them, so you guys can together produce the peace and life of God for yourselves and for your children. So it's very possible that you can be living the best life as a single person. When as a single man, you have everything figured out, you're happy, you're living the life, you're praising God, you're serving in church and everything, and all of a sudden, because you didn't look very well, because you didn't invite God in your choices, you choose someone who is very different from who you are. And by the time you know it, you are sinking into death. Because the person brings anger into your life, the person brings pain, the person brings despair, the person brings sorrows into your life. And by the time you know, you're sinking just like them. There are two things in marriage. It's either both of you go up or both of you go down. So you guys have to be in the same place so that you can choose to go up together, or you can choose to go down together. But marriages now are going down. Sometimes I sit and I weep to see the extent to which the institution of marriage is being abused. The extent to which marriage is being abused is appalling, and it has made most people to take a step back and say, oh no, I'm not gonna get married. The reason why most women that decide to be single are single is not really because they want to, but I think it's because of what they've seen. They grow up in homes where their father was so abusive towards their mother was so abusive towards their father, and then they couldn't reconcile the two. So they decided that instead for me to experience this, I'm gonna stay out of it. And I grew up in that kind of a home. I grew up in a home where my father was very abusive towards my mom. Very abusive towards my mom. But as a kid, I decided that there should be something different. I saw some couples around where I was staying that had beautiful marriages. They appeared happy. They appeared very sound. And I used to ask myself, I want to have this kind of marriage. And I used to pray as a child. I was just 10 years old. I remember I would pray and cry to God. I tell God to give me a husband that is godly and fearful. I'll pray to God. I'll pray to God. I'll pray to God. I said, Father, I resented my mother's marriage so much that I vowed to myself that I will never, ever allow a man to do what my father did to my mom. So when you grow up in that kind of home, there are two things involved. It's either you become a replica of what you saw, or you become something different of what you saw. It's up to you, because there's a kind of victim mentality that most people that grew up in abusive home have. And the reason I'm calling victim is not because I'm undermining the experience, but it's just because you take yourself and put in a situation that you can remove yourself from. You can actually remove yourself from. If you see very well, you are not your mother, you are not your father. So why do you choose to follow the footsteps of your father when you actually know that what he did was wrong? You seek therapy, you go for therapy, you find ways to take away those imprints of an awful marriage from your mind, and you define your own path. You tell yourself, this is how I want to do it. I'm going to do it differently. And God is going to help you if you ask for his help. So, my dear brothers and sisters, I don't know if we're in church, but I'm just going to say this. It's possible to have a good marriage, but it's up to you. What do you want? It starts with your choices right now. It starts with your choices right now. It starts with your choices right now. I'm saying this because most times we just keep looking at the future. The present determines the future. The way you carry yourself now, the choices you make now, is going to determine how the future is going to be like. So if you want a good marriage, you have to become a good marriage for yourself. List out the things that you want from that good marriage. I want a marriage that is peaceful. You have to be peaceful. I want a marriage that is anger-free. You have to be anger-free. When I say anger-free, I'm not talking about the normal anger that we have when someone annoys us. I'm talking about that deep anger that can lead to you injuring your spouse or abusing your spouse. There are a lot of people suffer from that kind of anger. You have to work on yourself. I want an anger-free marriage. You work on your anger if you have anger. I want a marriage where there is emotional intelligence. You start working on how to be emotionally intelligent. That's how you start writing out what you want and going towards that. Then after you've checked the boxes that are very important to you, and then the next step will be for you to find someone that also checks those boxes. And you cannot just find it, because now we live in a world where there is a lot of pretense. Someone will appear when you're dating someone, they're going to be a perfect husband to be, or a perfect wife to be. But then when you marry them, then they unleash. So that's why we need God, because the Bible says the heart of man is desperately wicked. Who can tell? You cannot tell. You can be dating someone and they are so kind. Everything that you are like, oh my God, I found my missing rib. Oh my God, this woman is amazing. Oh my God, this man is amazing. He does all the nice things. And sometimes I used to tell people that I talk to is that when someone is too nice when you're dating, watch out. Watch out. If they are too nice, if someone is too nice when you're dating, watch out. And the reason why you have to watch out is because there is something missing. Because when you date, that's why courtship is very important, because that's where you have to see certain things that you would determine if you marry or not. You know, so if they are too perfect during the courtship, there is no one that is too perfect. If you're dating someone and there is nothing that you can see in them as a weakness, and then you can determine whether this is what you can deal with or not, there is something wrong. Definitely something wrong, because no one can be that perfect that there is nothing you can take against them. So you always have to watch out. This is someone and then they're absolutely wonderful. There is nothing that you can say that it's a problem. Then there is something wrong. So when you've marked everything, when you've marked it and you've seen that, oh my God, this is what I want, this is who I am. You know, I'm a peaceful person. I don't manifest strong anger. I'm not abusive. I'm emotionally intelligent, I'm hardworking, I'm very kind, I'm very gentle, I'm very understanding. If that's who you are, then you have every right to stand and say that I will not go with someone that does not have some of these abilities that matters to all these abilities that matters to me. We live in a society where if you pull any girl forward and you ask them, what kind of man are you looking for? The first thing I bet you that they will say is physical. The physical is very important, don't get me wrong. But then the physical is temporal. I heard of someone who said, don't marry a handsome man or don't marry a beautiful woman because they come with trouble. Excuse me, even though I don't believe in that. But the thing is that if you ask any woman right now, if you just stop a woman and you ask them, what kind of man do you want? They're going to say, a man that can take care of me, give me whatever I want. Why is it there? A man that can take care of a family, a man that can provide, a man that can this. Are we not getting it wrong? What about women who are in marriages getting everything, but then they want to be rescued? There are a lot of women who are getting everything that a man can give to a woman. But if you give them the opportunity to flee that marriage, they will flee and leave everything. There are a lot of women in that kind of situation. So that's not what marriage is. Marriage, if you're looking at physical stuffs, then there is a problem. Which means you've not understood. But if you find a woman and you ask the woman, what kind of man do you want? And you see the woman say, I need a man that is kind. I need a man that can respect me. I need a man that is gentle. I need a man that is understanding, that is emotionally intelligent. I need a man that is hardworking. Then you can tell that woman has understood marriage. Has understood marriage. You can tell. If you ask a man and a man says, what kind of woman do you want? A woman that has, big breasts and big buttocks, a woman that can cook, a woman that when I talk, she's just gonna say yes, a woman that can respect me as the man. Then when such a man speaks, then you can tell that he doesn't understand what marriage is. You can tell that he's a joke and that he's gonna fail as a husband. You can just tell, because the way they are speaking, they're not talking about things that can actually make a marriage work. Because what do you do with a man that gives you money and disrespects you and is not kind? Even though most people will be like, it's better he has money and disrespects me than not to have money. You are still mistaken, because everything you're saying now is based on who you are. You are a selfish person. You are someone who is only take. So it's so easy to recognize those who are selfish, because you can, just from the way they talk, you ask a woman, can you join, if your husband is going through financial, can you help him? No. Why should I help him? Why is it the man? You should go out and work. You can tell already that woman is a selfish person. And you as a man, when a woman speaks like that and you go ahead and propose to her and marry her, why are you complaining when you start seeing that she's a selfish person? She did tell you what she wants, and if you don't adhere to that, she has the right to say, I don't want to be with you anymore because you are not meeting up to my standard. People have standards, and if that person's standards doesn't match with yours, don't marry them. Because that's one thing that men complain a lot. Again, I said, oh, my wife is selfish. My wife is this. My wife is that. But in the beginning, she told you that she's not going to marry a man that cannot give her everything. Did you listen? No, you didn't. You thought it was a joke. You married her, and then when you are in trouble, when you are in trouble financially and she leaves you, you start saying she's evil. She's not evil. She did tell you that she wants a man that can give her everything. That's what she wants. So you can kill her. She told you. So you were the one that foolishly took her in, knowing that that you were not going to accept her conditions. So we live in a society where if we don't understand God's way of doing things, we're gonna end up like everyone else. We live in a society where the way, man's way, is overcoming and is taking over God's way. And God's way has become the old ways. That's how old. we don't do that anymore, or we have moved on. You have moved on, but look at what is happening to marriage. Look, so some of us, we grew up in marriages, most times you say that our mothers' marriages were more solid than us, and most times we'll argue that, oh, it's because they didn't know, it's because there was no social media to put it, it's because there's in this. No, it's because they thought differently. They thought about marriage in a different way. We are thinking about it differently, and that's why our marriages are failing. Even though I know that both eras or both generations have their flaws, but why did their marriages survive? The only reason it survived was not because our mothers didn't know any good. They knew, but they had a different mentality about marriage that we do not. The best thing is to do marriage God's way. Don't do it your mother's way. Don't do it your father's way. Do it God's way. God's way is always the best. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. Do it God's way. So I hope I've encouraged someone today and just let you know that you have the ability to have a good marriage. You don't only have the ability, but you have the right to want a good marriage. You have the right to want a good marriage. You don't have to have a bad marriage just because everyone around you is having a bad marriage. You can choose to have a good marriage. And even when you get into the marriage, it's still choice. Because when you get into the marriage, things will be unveiled about your spouse that you have to get up every morning and choose to love them. So it has to start with you. You start now as a single person. You start now making the right choices, cleaning up yourself, preparing yourself, become the person that you want to marry. Become the peaceful person, the happy person, the understanding person, the genuine person, the kind person, the person that has self-control. Become that person. And you're going to attract the same. You're going to attract the same. So I hope I was able to encourage someone today. I just wanted to do this live not long, but I'm going to come live as often as possible, and I'm going to talk about different topics. So if you can do well and follow me on TikTok, and then I'll really appreciate it, so that anytime I come live, you can get the notification and then you can join me in. And if you have any questions, you can always put in the comment section or comment. So I want to thank everyone that has been part of this live. I hope that I edified you. I hope that you learned something in this my life. I want to thank you all for joining me and listening to me. I love talking about relationship and marriage. This is my passion. And there is nothing as important in this world as having a husband and a wife that understand the purpose of marriage and bring up their kids to understand the purpose of marriage, and also bring up, like, you just create a generation of good marriages from one generation to another because you made the right choice. It starts now. If your mother or father didn't have the right choice, you have the ability to change it. This is what generational curse is all about, like generational curse. Like people talk about generational curse, it must not necessarily be something evil, but it has to do with a pattern that has moved from one generation to another, from one generation to another. So you can change that. You can change that. If your mom didn't have a good marriage because she made the wrong choices, you can choose to have a good marriage and then be an example for your kids. And your kids can get up, see that you were a good example, and they are fueled to make another good example, and they create their own generation of good marriage, and then they give birth to their own kids. And their own kids get up and see an example from their great-grandfather to their great-grandmother to their mother, and they make their own decision of a good marriage. So that's how we build a generation of something good. Start with you. Build a good marriage. The society we see now is it's a show of the kind of marriages that we have. Let me tell you, because the world starts with a family. It starts with a husband and wife coming together, giving birth to children, the children giving birth to their own children, and that's what forms a society. So you see how bad the society is, how rotten. It just shows the kind of bad and rotten marriages that people are having. The purpose of marriage is deeper than just sharing bills and doing 50-50. It's deeper. It's a whole future. We want to talk about the future? It starts with you and how you're raising your kids. It starts with you and the partner you're choosing and the example you're being to your kids, because they're going to get up and see that, and they are likely to follow your path unless God intervenes and lead them to another direction. We are an example to our kids. So it has to start with you making the right decisions on who you want to marry, on who you want to raise your kids with. Because most people have very good intentions when they get into marriage. They have really good intentions before they get into marriage. But they meet someone who does not have the same intentions as them because they didn't make the right choice. So we really have to be careful. This marriage is a very delicate matter. Very delicate. That if you don't take it seriously, you're going to sow your whole generation. And you're going to have a generation of kids who don't fear God, a generation of kids who are abusive because your husband abused you. They saw it and they saw it as a norm, and they take that abuse to other people's children, and that's how it keeps going from the society, and it becomes something that is now normal, just like we have it right now. We can choose to do it differently. We can choose to do it God's way. So I think that I'm done for today. Thank you guys for watching once again. I really appreciate you guys, and I hope that you're going to join my live next time. If you want to join my live, please just follow my page so that anytime I come online, you can get a notification and you can join my live. And if you have any questions, you can always ask me in my live sessions. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone. I can't call the names of everyone that joined, but I'm just going to say thank you. And I hope to see you guys in my next live video, either tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Thank you guys, and have a beautiful evening. Bye bye guys.